One, it's going to darken your tones because you're adding a second layer of your color to it.
Is that the same color paint?
Ish, yeah.
Did you say that was wet on dry or dry on wet?
Wet on dry layering.
Dry.
And it's just going to have that nice hard edge. So if you want a nice hard edge, wet on dry. And that can just be said for any wet on dry stuff, is it's going to create a hard edge. Maybe we can do a different color for this one over here. Experiment with color layering. You could get a nice green by doing wet on dry. Let's try that. Do a little bit of yellow on top of this blue. Then wet on wet layering is how I do faces, and or just an object that looks like it has lots of color. Like if I were to do a peach, I would do yellow first and then the red as the second layer. So it's a good way to layer colors on top of each other. You'll also know if something is completely dry is if you add water. It might look like the colors are moving. If the colors are moving, your layer's not dry yet. If it seems like the water's just sitting on top of your layer, then it should be dry. I don't expect that to be completely dry. For the sake of demonstration timing. Throw some yellow, onto this blue.
It's a softer edge bleed.
Mm-hmm. Now this is the moment where if you feel like you want to move some stuff around, just clean your brush a little bit, push things around. If I'm moving colors, I like to use the tip of my brush. If I'm picking colors up, which I'm about to do right now over here, I might have waited maybe too long, I use the belly of the brush. So here's what it's looking like after a couple minutes. Way different than here. Even then, I'm still getting some kind of hard edges because I'm lifting up a lot of moisture here. But you can also go back, clean those edges up if you don't like them so jagged. Compared to this soft lift right when I put it down, you know?
Some Kenny Loggins?
In person, no.
Are they doing
Last week
karaoke
they had
Thursdays?
Was that
The
right?
Detroit Symphony here, you couldn't even hear them up here.
Another thing you can do is, I should put water down first.
You weren't serious about karaoke, were you?
Me?
Are they
karaoke.
playing are they doing karaoke?
They do karaoke here sometimes,
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
Yeah, I think, because that's not Kenny.
No, it sounds like a women's voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women can do karaoke.
Wow, look at this dinner on the
Women
show.
can do Kenny.
She sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
One thing you can do is, while it's still pretty fresh, just throw some water in some areas. But be careful with that, because you can see it's going to push the paint. But that is one way to lighten it up, is to throw in some water and then soak it right out like that. You do
That's
run
kinda pretty.
the risk of it cauliflowering, if you heard that term. The reason is these little branches, they might push excess paint to the edge of the water, and it creates a nice hard line around it that kind of looks like a cauliflower. There are also special things that you can do, special properties that you can do. If you are trying to experiment. You can use, oh, you know what, let's remove this masking fluid. So I was telling you that this right here, I think it's called burnisher. You push it all the way. Don't be afraid of it. Just push it. And look at that. You know what? It looked like the black ink was bleeding, but it really didn't bleed at all. Even though I painted over those areas, we got some nice, clean, white areas. And it's just so much easier to move, because if you tried doing like this with your finger, you're pushing your finger oils into the paper. You might be pushing some paint into the paper. It's just so much easier having one of these. Or you could use a credit card and just really, I did that. It wasn't as fun as this. Plus you can have a brush that's multifunctional, which is nice. Special effects. You can use salt, which I'm sure you've heard. You can use rubbing alcohol. Honestly, you can use anything. I'm sure you could use coffee. But there's dish soap mix. You know what?
You got some.
We got some right here. We're ready to go. Each one's gonna have its own unique property. I'm pretty sure we have, yeah, we got a bunch over here. Nice. Oh, you can also use vegetable oil.
Make a lovely salad. So does putting any of that stuff on the paper have a long-term impact on if, it deteriorating or anything?
That one I'm not sure. I don't think I've made any paintings that have stuck around long enough for me to tell you. Ask me in 30 years. Iridescent medium.
Yeah, that was the question I had is how, watercolor is so matte. How do you get a shine to it?
You could put a gloss varnish on it.
Okay, like a spray.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. You could use gloss medium to mix with your paints, but you might want to use two paints as opposed to a palette. You got glitter watercolors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost feel like you're cheating though, don't you, when you use stuff like that? Oh, I do. I bought some like metallics.
Let me see. I don't have any Q-tip.
Does that medium, that iridescent medium, how do you put that on?
I
Is
don't
it
know how
just
you
like a liquid?
are supposed to do it, but I just did
Just
it like over
this.
top of what I was working on.
Okay.
Yeah, just like another layer.
After it dries,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just like a little,
and it dries clear again because it looks so
just with
white
a little
and
bit
clear.
iridescence.
just a little shimmer.
Yeah, I can see it in the light, it's
Yeah.
shiny.
One thing when it comes to this stuff, at least with salt, is you don't want to do it too late. You don't want to do it too early. If you do it too early, the salt is just going to soak up all the moisture, which is what you want to do, but you want to wait a little bit so it looks more visually interesting. If you do it too late, it's not going to do the effect that you need it to do. Maybe wait a minute or two. Usually with isopropyl alcohol, it's nice to have a Q-tip. I'm going to use a little bit of paper towel and maybe make a point. If you want to hit karaoke for a little break in 30
That
minutes,
sounds like karaoke.
do a quick song, you can. I went there once after painting.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. But they were just ending, so.
Were there a lot of people?
Yeah. They got drinks, wine.
Liquid courage.
So you don't have
Right.
stage fright as much?
I guess this is wet on dry blending, but it was a lot more water compared to paint, as compared to over here where it was a lot more paint to water. So it's like really just test it out. I'm just gonna throw some alcohol in here. Hopefully, you usually want it almost drip, but
Yeah, Q-tip probably would be easier.
the Q-tip would be easier. Yeah. Here we go. I can just be more precise with it, you know. It's almost like this weird pickup kind of removal thing that you can do.
I really don't see much difference in just picking it up with the dry paper towel
Yeah, I think it's because it's a paper towel,
as opposed to like
a Q-tip. Yeah.
If you did the Q-tip, would it just be a dot or a rub?
I would probably just do a dot. You could try it with rub, but it's supposed to kind of spread in an interesting way. I had to throw some salt on right there. Wait a little bit. I got way too much salt. It's definitely karaoke. At this point, it's
Margaritas. So the salt, it's kind of the same effect as when you paint granulates, huh?
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Then you want to let that completely dry before you brush it off. You should just be able to brush it off with your finger. You got dish soap. Hopefully I put enough dish soap in there. Definitely a lot easier to try these things out at home. Uh-oh, I think I got salt in my paint.
Salt in the wound. So you have the dish soap on the paper first? I don't even, did you do that?
I'm gonna
Oh,
put the
you're gonna
dish
put it
soap
on
right now,
top.
yeah.
So it's
See
paint
how
then
that-
dish soap?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta see what that happens.
I'm gonna try this rubbing alcohol again while it's dried up a little bit. See if there's something interesting going on here. You know what? Should I be a little risky? That's way too much. That's okay. We'll see what happens, right? Experiment, have fun.
Yeah.
The dish soap, hopefully there's enough dish soap. Definitely way different than water, where it was just instantly just, and you can actually see it. You can see where the dish soap kind of is staying there.
I like that.
Yeah, me
That
too.
is cool.
And you are starting to see the salt kind of do its thing right there. All
Yeah.
that fun stuff.
Oh, excuse me.
All right, I think that's what I have to show you.
Can I take a picture of that sheet?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
take as many
take a
pictures as you
picture.
want.
Yeah.
I can show you what washes look like. I guess if you really want to see, I can show you how to do a wash as well. I'll show you how to do a wash while we're here.
All right, take a picture while you get this set up.